Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Smashing English. Today we are looking at something very exciting. We are looking at 5 important things about British culture. So I am British. I was born in a place called Birmingham. We talk like that in Birmingham. And I thought it would be really useful just to teach you some really common, important things about British culture, because the last video I made, a lot of people were very, very interested about this. So let's talk about it. Hello to everybody watching. I see you. Hello. We've got someone from Spain, from Brazil, from Serbia, Egypt, all over the place. So exciting. If we haven't met before, my name is Laura. Nice to meet you. So, shall we get started? Let me know if you have any questions. If you have any questions, let me know and I will get back to you. So, number 1. The first very important thing about British culture is the pub! Dun dun dun! And I know a lot of people have heard of the pub, but I want to just give you some details about this, about why the pub is so influential and so important. So there are approximately 45,000 pubs in the UK. And we're only small. We're a small country, so that is a lot of pubs. That is about 1 pub every 2 square miles. So there's a lot of pubs. They are declining a little bit. A lot of pubs are struggling financially. So a lot of pubs are closing or, going from owner to owner. So it's a bit of a weird time for pubs in the UK, but they are still very, 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 very important. Pretty much they used to be the hub of the community, and in a lot of communities they still are. So I want to talk to you about important features of a UK pub. So if you come here or if you're just interested, here are some of the important features and some useful expressions. So obviously we have the bar. I used to work behind a bar. I did a lot of shifts working behind a bar. So the bar is where you get your drinks. So really common when you get to a pub is you might ask the waiter or the waitress, do we order at the table or at the bar? Because in some pubs you sit down and they come to your table and they take the order. In some pubs you have to go up and order at the bar. So if you're going to go into a UK pub, remember that phrase. Do we order at the table or at the bar? You might hear someone say something like, oh, there's a massive queue at the bar. At the bar. There is a massive queue at the bar. Or like I just said, I work behind a bar. So remember those prepositions. So we've got a queue at the bar. We are ordering at the bar, but then the people who serve you the drinks are working behind the bar. So I used to work behind a bar. Have you ever worked behind a bar? Tell me in the comments if you're watching. Have you ever worked behind a bar? Or do you know anyone who has worked behind a bar? Because it's a fun job. I learned a lot. I learned a lot, and I think it's very hard work. It's not an easy job at all. I found it really, really difficult actually. The beer garden, a lovely feature of pubs, especially in the summer. Everybody in the UK wants to go and sit in a beer garden on a sunny day. It's Sunday today and it's sunny. I promise you the beer gardens will be filled with people, absolutely filled with people, because it's beautiful. So you might go into a pub and say, hey, do you have a beer garden? It just means a space outside with tables where you can sit. The beer garden's full, sorry. Shall we go sit in the beer garden? Lovely. Obviously you have a kitchen in a pub, but these are some phrases that might be useful. So if you go into a UK pub at around like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, maybe you're not sure. So you might say something like, is the kitchen still open? Or are you still serving food? Or what time are you serving food until? Those are very useful phrases because you don't want to sit down, get a table, get a drink, and then realize you can't order food. That's really annoying. So those are very useful phrases. You should learn those. Hello from Macedonia. Hi. How are you? Hi from Afghanistan. Wow, so many people. Incredible. Okay, let's carry on then. What else we got? Okay, items found in a pub. These are going to be very useful for you. So I just wanted to give you some useful items. So beer mats. Those things where you put your drinks, they are called beer mats. Even if you don't put beer on them, we call them beer mats. Obviously, we have glasses that you drink from, but specifically we say a wine glass or a beer glass. So, could I have, I remember when I worked in a pub, some people would ask for, could I have a gin and tonic, but can I have it in a wine glass? You know, they might have a specific glass that they want. Slot machines. I don't know if this happens everywhere else in the world, but in the UK, we often have slot machines in the pub. So you get your beer and then you go play on the slots and you see if you can win some more beer money to spend on more beer. Tell me in the comments, do you have slot machines in your restaurants and bars? Because it's very fun. Those chairs by the bar, we call them bar stools. So a chair without a back is a stool. That is a bar stool. And we all often have a dartboard. There is often a dartboard in a UK pub. And there's often a darts league as well. There's like people play pub darts and they have a team and they play every week and they, you know, play against each other. It's part of the culture here, really. But yeah, those are some of the common things that I think you'll see in every pub. We do have different levels of pub. We have like, you know, your classic sort of only serve drinks, very cheap pub. But then you have very posh pubs where they serve really nice food and it's a bit more upmarket and they don't have slot machines. But I thought I would show you some classic pub food. I thought you might be interested in this. So here is a classic menu. This is, I don't know where this pub is, but the Moorings. Sounds lovely. So I thought we could have a look at some of the classic dishes on this pub menu. So I'm just going to zoom into some particular things. So let's go on the pub classics here. Pub classics. So this section here, what do we got? Now this is quite a posh pub, I think. This one is quite posh, you can tell, because they've got, you can tell because they have Korean barbecue chicken. That's very posh. This is a posh pub because normally the most classic meals you will get at a pub would be this one, scampi and chips. That's like a battered fish, little fish nuggets and chips. Cod and chips, fish and chips. That is fish and chips. Even though it says cod, cod is just the typical fish that we use for fish and chips. Sausage and mash, sausages and mashed potatoes. Classic. Ham, egg and chips. That is such a classic pub meal. It's like sliced ham, pork, egg and chips. It's so simple, but it is very common in a pub. But then the rest of these are quite posh, like Thai green chicken curry, posh. Mac and cheese, American. Korean barbecue chicken, posh. Salmon fillet with dill sauce. So this is an example of like a bit more of a posh pub that takes the food a bit more seriously. Most pubs will serve lots of different types of burgers. That's really common. Pies. Oh yeah, pies. We love pies. Anything in pastry with gravy and meat. You know, we love that. You'll often find a pie here. Oh, this is a fun one. Yorkie wraps. So a Yorkshire pudding. Yorkie is like, it's like pancake batter. So it's eggs, flour and milk and you stir it up and you put it in the oven and it makes like a like a cake kind of thing. But they're wrapping stuff in that. Amazing. So that's like a typical pub. Peter has just asked, what does waterfront bar and restaurant mean? It means it's by the water. So if you see waterfront, it means it's by the water. So it's probably a pub next to a canal or next to a river or next to a lake maybe. And you can see the water and it's lovely. So that's a posh pub. Okay, fabulous. Do you have any questions? Any questions? Let me know as I do this next part and I can answer some questions for you. Let's move on. The next important part of British culture, which is a bit of a stereotype, but it's true. Queuing. Oh, we love queuing. Now, why do people associate British people with queuing? It's weird, isn't it? We have this stereotype that British people love to queue. And it's because we really value politeness and doing what's right and correct. You know, we really value that. It's kind of really a big part of our society and our culture. And standing in a queue is a representation of our fear of confrontation or upsetting people. So we will happily wait in a queue for an hour and we won't say anything. We won't complain. We won't, criticize it. It's just what we do. This kind of British attitude of you just wait and you don't complain and you carry on and you suffer a little bit. In the war, they used to say, keep calm and carry on. Just come on, just carry on. Don't complain. We don't want direct confrontation. We just want to blend in and fall in line. Just do as you're told. Just do that. Even though inside you're thinking, oh, this is so annoying. I'm waiting in a queue. But we do it. We do it. So what would happen if someone pushed in? Okay, pushed in. Pushing in means to skip the queue. So you jump ahead in the queue. Well, let me tell you, probably nothing. I think in a lot of queues in Britain, if you jump ahead or you go ahead in the queue, people probably wouldn't say anything. Some people will. Obviously, some people will say something, but there would be a lot of tutting, rolling eyes, a lot of this. And maybe someone might say something. Someone a bit more confident might say, excuse me, there's a queue. Excuse me, there's a queue. But most people will just go, like that. It's kind of how we do things. But yeah, we're a weird bunch. Let's have a look at some questions. Let's have a look. How can we understand difficult and fast accents? You've got to immerse yourself. You've got to listen to lots of different types of accents. You've got to, not just watch very scripted TV shows. You've got to watch reality shows, podcasts, things where people aren't reading a script. They're just talking genuinely. That's what you've got to do. Okay, let's carry on. What do we got next? Number 3. So the third most important thing about British culture, I think, is humour. We really value funny people. If you are funny in Britain, you can climb social ladders, I feel. It really helps you get ahead, it helps you be successful, it helps people to like you. We really value it. So what do Brits find funny? Let's talk about that. Sarcasm is a big thing. Sarcasm. A lot of British people are sarcastic. And it's not just a British thing. All of these things, by the way, it's not just Britain, obviously. And it's not all of Britain. It's not everybody. I'm just giving you general ideas of things that are very common. So sarcasm is saying the opposite of what you feel or what the truth is in order to be funny. So you say something very obviously opposite to what you mean. So, you know, it's a very obvious opposite and you're doing it to be funny. So a very common example of sarcasm is Chandler Bing from Friends. Have you seen Friends? I love Friends. It's so good. And he's not even British. So this is what I mean. It's not just British people. It's a lot of people are sarcastic, but you find it a lot in Britain. So these are really good examples of sarcasm. So Monica says, because she's on her honeymoon, Monica says, oh, I'll never be a bride again. Now I'm just someone's wife. And she's referring to Chandler because she's married to him. And he says, and I'm the happiest guy in the world. And it's kind of like that sarcastic thing because she's just made a comment saying, God, I'm so annoyed. I'm not a bride anymore. I'm just someone's wife. And he goes, and I'm the happiest guy in the world, like using the opposite of what he means to make a joke. Or here, Monica says, this is her wedding day. That's way more important than some stupid kids. And bearing in mind, they're about to be visited by a representative from an adoption agency. They want to adopt a child and she's about to visit. She says, this is her wedding day. That's way more important than some stupid kids. And Chandler says, that's sweet, honey, but save something for the adoption lady. You know, like saying, oh, that's lovely. But, you know, maybe say that to the adoption lady. She'd love that. Clearly being sarcastic, clearly meaning the opposite of what he means. So, that is sarcasm, a really good example of sarcasm, and we love sarcasm. We also find it really funny to be very self-deprecating, insulting yourself in order to be funny. You know, like you make a joke about yourself, you criticize yourself, you say, God, I'm an idiot, you know, or like, oh, I forgot I missed the bus this morning because I'm such an idiot. I forgot to set my alarm. You know, like putting ourselves down. British people are very self-deprecating. They like to, you know, be very self-deprecating and put themselves down. British humour can be very dark as well. Like, I don't know what it's like in other countries, but British humour can be quite dark. You know, some of the jokes that you would hear on British TV, I don't think you would hear on American television. I think we're a bit bolder with our humour and we say things that are a bit more shocking. Whereas you watch American TV and it's generally a bit less dark. So yeah, you might hear quite a lot of dark humour. Someone asks, what is the common dish that is commonly cooked in people's houses every day? Really good question. I think in the UK, we cook a lot of chicken, potatoes. It's a lot of meat and vegetables. So it's a lot of chicken, beef, pork, and some potatoes, some chips, and then some vegetables. That's kind of a solid. Every week we have a lot of British people have a Sunday roast, which is meat, potatoes, vegetables, some other things, all in gravy. So that's kind of the common stuff. What else do we find funny? Mockery as a sign of affection or banter. British people love having banter with each other. They love, you know, teasing people, insulting people, you know, like it sounds like an insult, but we do it because we like people. You know, I think a lot of British people, they will insult the people that they really like. They will insult their close friends and the people they love, but it's just banter. It's not this, you know, they don't mean it. So yeah, you'll hear a lot of British people doing a lot of banter, especially boys and men. Sometimes male friendships, I hear them being horrible to each other. Like sometimes I'll hear something and I think, oh my goodness, but it's just banter. They just love each other, and so they do that. Oh, by the way, if you want to hear loads of examples of British humour, accents, and practice your listening, someone in the chat asked about how to understand accents. We've got a course exactly for that reason, and it's in the description. So with this course, you get 10 full hour-long conversations with 10 different people, and they all have completely different accents. So that's why it's called 10 conversations, 10 accents, because they have a completely different accent, and it's just genuine conversation. We're making jokes, we're teasing each other, we're talking about where they're from, their accent, their culture. So if you really want to learn about British culture, I do think this is the best course for you. I'm not just saying that because I made it. So go to the link in the description to find out more about that course. Okay, number 4. What is the 4th most important thing about British culture? This is an interesting one. So this is very important in British culture. Regional dialects and slang, and kind of like a regional identity. So in a lot of my videos, I mention British English, but in fact, there is no singular British English. It's tricky on YouTube. I have to use words and phrases that mean people can find these videos, because I want people to find these videos. It's my job. I want people to watch them. So I have to use words that I know people are searching for. And I know people are searching for British English. So I use that phrase a lot, and I use kind of like, you know, British accent a lot. But it's just not the case. There is no one type of British English. We have standard English, kind of the standard neutral. But there's such a variety. You know, there are 4 countries in the UK. We have England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and loads of counties. Like, these are all the different counties of the UK. And in most counties, they have a completely different identity, different way of speaking, and not even just counties, like towns within those counties. It's such there's such a variety. And it's hugely important to our sense of identity. So a lot of people don't just feel British. A lot of people do feel British. A lot of people say, I'm British, I'm proud to be British, lovely. But a lot of people feel more of a connection to their specific region. They feel a connection to where they are from, their county, their city, rather than just Britain, because Britain is so varied. There's different countries in there. It's hard to say, yes, I feel British, because that can mean a lot of different things. So a lot of people feel an identity to their kind of, you know, their particular region. Is that the same where you live? Tell me in the chat. I'm very intrigued. Is that the same for where you live? So for example, Liverpool. So have a look at that banner at the bottom. It says, we are not English, we are Scouse. So some people in Liverpool, not all of them, some people in Liverpool don't identify with being English. They identify with being Scouse. And a Scouse person is someone from Liverpool. So if someone says they are Scouse, they are from Liverpool. So like the accents in Liverpool, the slang used is completely different to Oxford or London, for example. So there's this really strong identity amongst Scousers. So they feel like, oh, I don't really feel like I'm English. I feel like I'm Scouse. That's my identity. So in general, try not to generalize British people. I know that's exactly what I'm doing in this video. I know this video is about British culture, but the point is the culture really varies depending on what region you are. I'm just trying to teach you the things that are the most common and the most widespread. Okay, final one. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, someone says, in British culture, how important is marriage? Interesting. What is your view about traditional marriage rather than staying together without any commitment like marriage? I think in Britain, marriage rates are going down. I think more people are deciding just to live together rather than get married. There's less of a taboo. I think in the 50s and 40s and 60s, you had to be married before you lived together. It was seen as quite shocking if you lived together before you were married. But now that's not the case. I think most people, 80% of people live with their partner before marrying them. So that's really common. So a lot of people now just don't want to spend the money on a wedding, or they don't feel they need to. So I think marriage rates are declining. It's interesting. I personally wanted to get married. That was important for me, but a lot of people are, they say whatever. So it's very much more flexible here than it used to be. Okay, last one. The fifth most important thing about British culture is, of course, politeness. Politeness and indirectness, of course. Now, I already made a full video on British politeness. The link for that is in the description. So I've made a full video about how British people are very polite and how they do that. But these are some things that I didn't mention in that video. So here are some extra things. So again, not all British people, not all, but a lot of British people often avoid confrontation. So if they are upset about something, they would rather roll their eyes or tut. That's kind of how they show that they are unhappy. Would rather do that. Now, this can sometimes lead to us being quite passive aggressive. Sometimes we can be quite passive aggressive, and that means you are expressing anger in an indirect way. So instead of just saying, I don't like that, that was wrong, nope, I don't like this, we show that, we still feel like that, but we show that feeling in a very indirect way. So let me give you an example. So this is a couple at a restaurant, and they're smiling, but the man is saying, I would have liked to have sat by the window, but it's okay. What he means is, I wanted to sit by the window, so I'm a bit upset that we're not sitting by the window, and I wish you gave us a table by the window. But he's not saying that. He's saying, I would have liked to have sat by the window, but it's okay, it's okay. And the woman is saying, it's very interesting that we've been waiting for so long, as it doesn't seem so busy. Like, she's trying to make it seem like, this is an interesting thing. But what she's saying is, why were we waiting so long? It's not busy. You should have been quicker. Why did we have to wait so long? It's not even busy. But we try to say it in a really polite, kind of like indirect way. So we're never accusing someone or saying, hey, this is wrong, I don't like this. We kind of go roundabout. And same with this one. So this is a really nice woman working in a hotel. And instead of just saying, checkout is at 11 a.m, she's saying, as stated clearly on your booking, checkout is at 11 a.m. So that, as stated clearly on your booking, is a very passive aggressive way of saying, why didn't you look at your booking? If you read your booking, it was clear on your booking. It says checkout is at 11 a.m. You didn't read that, did you? You didn't read it. Are you an idiot? Are you crazy? But she's not saying that. She's going, as stated clearly on your booking, checkout is at 11 a.m. So that kind of passive aggressive, I'm going to show you that I'm upset, or show you that I don't like you, but in a very indirect way. So that's something you might hear a lot of British people doing. And there we have it. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and like. If you subscribe and like, it means that we can carry on making videos just like this. Tell me in the comments, is there any other videos that you'd like to see? Do you have any questions? Let's do 2 minutes of answering questions. Here we go. Right, let me scroll back up because there were some questions here that I didn't answer. How can I reach an advanced level of English speaking and understanding without living in England? Very good question. The internet is wonderful now. We can immerse ourselves so well without living in a country that speaks English. There are podcasts, shows. You just immerse yourself. Almost treat like, obviously when you go to work and you do everything, you're in your native language, but when you come home, view that as like, okay, this is English time now. I'm only going to watch English shows. I'm only going to read English stuff. I'm only going to talk in English. I'm only going to think in English. Just immerse yourself using the internet and using resources that we have. That would be my big advice. Lava says, do you offer accent coaching to change someone's accent to a British RP accent? Yes, I do. If you go in the link, I think it's in the description, but any of the videos on our channel, if you look in the description. There's links to see how to book with either me or my husband. We both teach, so you can look at that there. Oh, someone said, do you eat Brussels sprouts and fish? Brussels sprouts are mostly a Christmas thing. It's mostly a Christmas thing. But at Christmas, yeah, we have loads of Brussels sprouts. And final question, fish. Yeah, we do eat fish. Fish and chips, a lot of fish. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. Be sure to check out our course in the description down below.